For the record, this is not going to be a video about me hating on Greek life. Hey guys, what's up? A long time no see. I'm wearing my chill with that misogyny t-shirt, which I feel like a lot of people don't even know what the word misogyny is. Like, I was getting a lot of looks on campus when I was walking to and from class. I mean, if you don't know what the word on a fucking graphic t-shirt means, then you should whip out your iPhone, go to the dictionary website, and Google it right then and there, because you probably ain't educated about shit. Anyway, I haven't filmed a video in a very long time. This is the first video I'm uploading in at least a month. And I don't really have an excuse for you. I haven't wanted to film, and that's basically all it comes down to. I'm sorry I've been MIA, but I just haven't really wanted to film. And, you know, as my own person with autonomy, if I don't want to film, I don't fucking have to. I'm here today to talk about something that's kind of crazy that's happening currently on Florida State University campus, and I have gotten a handful of DMs from people asking me if I'm going to talk about the situation, if I'm going to address the situation. I figured I would because, one, people that don't go to FSU and even people that do go to FSU aren't educated on the situation at all, don't know the facts, don't know what's happening. I can give you much more insight than all the stupid articles that you can find on the internet about this. And two, I think that this is a really great opportunity to spread a positive message and also to defend Greek life maybe for the first time in my entire fucking life. I just wanted to talk about the recent ban that has been placed on FSU campus by our president, President Thrasher, who has currently banned all fraternities and sororities on FSU campus following the death of a fraternity pledge on Thursday. It is now Tuesday, so it hasn't even been a full week since this kid died. Just to clarify what that means, that there's a ban on all sororities and fraternities, that does not mean that Greek life is going away. That doesn't mean that FSU is now not gonna have frats, not gonna have sororities. If you're in a sorority or frat, you're no longer gonna be in Greek life. In the future, people want people to rush, the houses are just gonna turn into other buildings. Like, it doesn't mean any of that. Like, it doesn't mean that Greek life is actually going away. Like, at a school as big as FSU, Greek life is almost necessary for the sake of the school, because Greek life contributes a lot to funding and events and all these things that wouldn't really happen or wouldn't benefit the school without Greek life. So at a big public university, it would take so much more than even just one student dying for all of Greek life to be kicked off. What the ban means is that all fraternities and sororities are indefinitely suspended. So as of right now, it's kind of like all sororities and fraternities don't really exist, but that suspension will be lifted whenever President Thrasher decides to say that it's lifted. So it's indefinitely suspended until President Thrasher says otherwise. That's what it means by saying that FSU Greek life is banned, okay? Like, don't think that FSU Greek life is going anywhere. Like, trust me, it's not. The reason for the suspension is that last Thursday, a pledge of a fraternity died at an off-campus house party that was Big Brother night. When you're in a frat and you're the pledge and you get your big brother, they have Big Brother night, and like, it's just the bigs and the littles like partying together, and maybe a few other brothers who are there just to like monitor things, and like people on exec, you know, whatever. But it's basically just a party for pledges, littles, to get their bigs, which is like a really fun, great time. Anyway, one of the pledges died, and that information on how he died hasn't been released. We don't fucking know how he died. The two biggest rumors going around FSU are that he either choked on his vomit in his sleep, like passed out, whatever, too drunk, puked in his sleep and choked on it, which is a way people can fucking die, by the way. A second other big rumor is that he fell when he was blacked out and hit his head on something, and like, obviously if you hit your head in the wrong way, you fucking die. So those are the two biggest rumors going around FSU right now. I still cannot verify or deny either of those, as the news hasn't said what's happened. I'm not really good enough friends with anyone in that fraternity to figure out what happened, and I also think that the fraternity is not allowed to speak about the situation right now because it's an ongoing investigation of someone's fucking death. Also, in like the same week, not related at all, a member of a different fraternity got arrested for selling a fuck ton of cocaine. So those two things happening in like the exact same week doesn't fucking look good for FSU fraternities. So the president is like, fuck this, we're just gonna put a hold on all Greek life until we can get to the bottom of why this is happening. Everyone is just kind of jumping to these conclusions and these broad assumptions that because the kid was in a frat, he must have been hazed and he died because of hazing, and like they're forcing him to drink and he wouldn't have been that drunk if he hadn't been in a frat, and all this shit, and all the blame is being put on the fraternity. But this could happen to any student regardless of Greek affiliation. Sorority, fraternity, never been in either one in your life, like it doesn't matter. If you drink too much, you are putting yourself at danger of blacking out and falling and hitting your head. You're putting yourself in danger of choking on your own vomit. Like, you're putting yourself in danger with every drink that you fucking drink. Like, that is just a fact of life. I know that the whole rape thing is like very controversial, like don't blame the victim. Oh, just because the girl's too drunk isn't a reason for her to be blamed for her rape, but it's just bad things happen when you drink too much. I don't drink to the point of blacking out, not remembering, not being able to speak, not being able to stand, because I don't want a rapist to scan me out in a crowd and think, oh, well, that girl isn't gonna remember anything tomorrow, I'm gonna try and take her home. I don't put myself in a position where I'm stumbling or whatever enough that I would actually physically fall in a way that would cause me to die from hitting my head. Like, everyone has to take responsibility for themselves when they drink, and everyone's putting the blame on the fraternity that this kid was pledging. And I can tell you that of all the fraternities that I've gone to parties for, tailgates for, whatever at FSU, this fraternity in question that had the pledge die, I have been to so many events for, so many like party, pregame, whatever. It's like, I have gone there, I have met so many brothers. I know that fraternity well enough to know that they are good fucking guys, and I have heard a lot through the rumor mill over the past 4 years of being at FSU of what exactly happens to guys when they're pledging. I've never, ever even heard one story about any fraternity on FSU campus forcing pledges to drink a certain amount of alcohol in their hazing process. Like, I've never heard of that ever. If you had me list the top 3 to 5 fraternities that I would assume would do that, if that's even a thing, I would never ever even think to list the fraternity that had the pledge die. So I personally don't think it was a hazing issue. I don't think it was a fraternity issue. I think it's extremely bad fucking luck that the kid was a pledge and that it happened at a fraternity event, even though it was off campus, because it just makes the frat look bad. But this could happen to anyone, boy or girl, regardless of Greek affiliation at any time. Just to clarify all the facts, 1, FSU Greek life is not banned. I'm pretty sure the suspension for sororities will be lifted pretty soon, like by the end of this semester at most, because sororities should not be to blame. They're just getting clumped into the Greek life thing. Like, yeah, sororities can be shitty and there can be mean girls and it can be miserable enough that you want to drop, but sororities don't make you drink. Sororities don't hold parties, tailgates, whatever, giving people alcohol. Sororities do not push you to drink or think drinking is cool, and I'm pretty sure no one's ever died for being in a sorority. So sororities should not be involved. I think it's very ridiculous that sororities are being involved in this. I just think President Thrasher is trying to make like a really big, shock value. Like, he wants to group all of Greek life together, and it definitely sends a bigger message saying, yep, even sororities, y'all are suspended too. That suspension will definitely be lifted way sooner than later for sororities. So sororities, you're gonna be fucking fine. Fraternities, probably all going to be suspended for the rest of the year. There's a pretty good chance, I would say, just with how fraternities work and different situations that have been similar in the past at other schools, I would say that there's a very good chance that the fraternity that had the pledge died could get kicked off campus, which would mean then that that fraternity would no longer exist. If you're a brother in that fraternity, sorry, you're no longer anything, and the house will be turned into something else, and that fraternity will never exist at FSU again. So there is a chance that can happen. I don't know if it will, because a fraternity getting kicked off campus is so extreme. Like, it's literally going to cease existence. So I don't know if that'll happen, but fraternities are definitely in really hot water right now. Like, I've heard that the police are trying to like raid all the frat houses and like go through people's phones. And again, this is all rumors and hearsay. Like, I don't fucking know shit, I'm just like a regular student. And what's so frustrating to me about this is that people just want the juicy gossip. Like, oh, our frat's gonna get kicked off, like FSU Greek life is banned, like, like, people are just making so many rude comments and jokes about it, and people seem to be forgetting that someone fucking died. Like, this isn't about Greek life. This isn't about parties and hazing or any of that shit. It really isn't. Like, that's what the news and what everyone's trying to make it about, because that's so so much more interesting, right? Like, oh, another fraternity pledge died from hazing. Like, no fucking way this fraternity was hazing kids at all on Big Brother night, which is supposed to be like the best, most fun night ever. Like, there's no way anyone was being forced to drink like a certain amount. Like, people are comparing this to the Penn State incident a couple years ago when a pledge died at a fraternity event at Penn State, but that guy fell. Everyone else was like still conscious, noticed the guy fell, no one did shit about it, and then when he gained consciousness, like probably kind of already dying, regains consciousness, instead of people helping him, other brothers at Penn State started like pouring beer on him, like kicking him in the stomach, like just fucking with him because they all thought it was funny to like fuck with the drunk guy, and they ended up like rupturing his spleen and like fucking up all his vital organs and shit, and he'd already hit his head, and then he ended up dying. Like, that is a serious situation. Like, if people are gonna treat people like that, you should have your privileges revoked. You shouldn't be allowed to have a fraternity or to throw events or to be in control of other people. Clearly, if when they fall, you then punch them and kick them and shit because you think it's funny. So in that situation, yeah, fucking no fucking shit, that frat should be kicked off Penn State's campus, and they were. I think maybe Penn State got rid of all Greek life. I don't know. Google it if you care. But that did not happen at the FSU frat house situation. Like, that's not what happened. This guy did not get, like, beat up by brothers. Like, brothers were not trying to kill him. Like, you know, like, it's not like that, and we still don't know all the facts, so, like I said, I don't really even know what happened, but just, like, in my gut, in my heart of hearts, and, like, knowing this fraternity well enough, I don't think it was hazing, and I don't think it's their fault. I just think it's really bad fucking luck, and everyone is just so fucking concerned with, like, not having their parties anymore, and not getting to have their IMs and their philanthropies and all these cool events, and oh, the rest of the tailgates of the year won't get to have alcohol at them. Like, people are just so frustrated that their partying basically is ruined for the semester or the year, but somebody fucking died. Like, somebody's dead. Somebody's brother is dead. 2 parents had to wake up to a phone call that their son of the past 20 fucking years that they just sent off to college to continue his life fucking died. Like, that is probably the biggest fear as a parent of a son who's, like, going to pledge a fraternity. You're, like, read so many stories about hazing and people dying and shit and alcohol poisoning, and then you ship your kid off to college, they join a frat, and they became that, like, fucking statistic. Your kid became the kid that died drinking at a frat event. Like, that is so fucking depressing, and barely anyone gives a fuck about the fact that this kid died. No one's talking about this kid. Everyone's just talking about how Greek life's fucked, and this is such drastic measures, and we don't get to have our party. Like, oh, boo-hoo, you don't get to have a fucking party? These parents don't get to spend another fucking second of a day of time with their son ever again. So that just kind of, like, makes me super disgusted, and I don't think it's the frat's fault. I think it's the kid's fault. Like, no offense, it's shitty that he died. It's shitty if he fell and he hit his head, and it's shitty if he choked on his vomit, but you choose to drink as much as you drink, and you know you're the only person that knows how drunk you're getting, you know? Like, I know how drunk I'm getting. I know when I'm tipsy. I know when I'm drunk. I know when I'm very drunk. I know when I'm about to black out. Like, I've been every phase of drunk before. Like, I'm going on year 4 of college. I know that. So no one knows how drunk you are except you, and it's very easy to get way drunker than you thought if you're not really someone who's familiar with drinking, or you don't drink that much, and then you're binge drinking for one of the first few times, and you take a lot of shots in a row, and then they all catch up to you 30 minutes later, and then you're still drinking on top of all those other shots, and you're already so drunk, and then someone else tells you to take a pull of this and take a drink of this, and you just want to look really cool, and you still don't even realize how drunk you are because it still hasn't all hit you, and then out of nowhere you are blacked out, you have no memory the next day, and maybe you're falling and hitting your head, maybe you're choking on your puke. Like, no one can control that, you know? And I think it's really sad and it's really shitty, but I think that if anything, this should be a PSA for binge drinking, not about fraternities being evil and Greek life having an issue. Like, that's fucking stupid. That is a waste of media attention. That is a waste of energy. This should be completely a discussion about binge drinking and how you should drink safely, and how you need to realize that if you drink a lot at once, it's all gonna fucking hit you 30 minutes to an hour later. Like, people don't realize how alcohol works or how it affects them, and then they get themselves in these really bad situations that end up fucking an entire fraternity over because maybe this kid didn't drink through high school, comes to college, wants to show his new big that he's like the man, like is drinking too much, and then everyone else is also so drunk also that they aren't fucking realizing that this kid's drunker than he should be because they're in their own fucking world. I have been so drunk that I have puked in my sleep, woken up the next morning in my vomit. Didn't even wake up from puking. Like, I could have been that statistic, and no one made me drink as much as I drank that night. It was New Year's, just this past New Year's. I was at a huge like EDM rave show thing with my boyfriend at the time and his friends, and we drank so much. I did a fuck ton of drugs. Like, I was insanely fucked up, and that was my choice. No one was like, drink this, do this, take this pill. Like, no one was telling me to do that. That was my choice, and I literally puked in my sleep, woke up in my vomit the next morning. That could have been fucking me, and then would that have been the EDM festival's fault that this girl died? Would that be my ex-boyfriend and our friend's fault that I died? No, it would literally be no one's fault, but someone would be looking to place blame somewhere, and it wouldn't look good for all the people that were with me, even though it's completely my fucking fault. And I just think that this should be nothing more than awareness that if you drink too much, you can put yourself in a very bad situation and you can potentially die. So all I have to say about this is that please be safe when you drink. You're gonna drink a lot in college if you choose to, regardless of whether or not you join a sorority or a frat. And I can guarantee you that even if you do, there's a slim chance that anyone is going to force you to drink, let alone force you to drink to excess. I've never heard or seen of that in my entire fucking life existence as a college student. Whew. I just wanted to come out here and talk about that real quick just for a second and address what I think about it. I honestly think the ban is a little ridiculous, and I feel really bad for the fraternity who lost a pledge, and I feel bad for the family who lost a son, and it's really shitty. And all I can say is you need to be careful when you drink, and you need to monitor how much you can drink because no one's untouchable. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. Bye.